Hey guys, welcome back tonight. This is our first fan cast of 2020. And so tonight, what I really wanted to do is I kind of wanted to break down some of the knots that are the best. And when you think about good knots, there's a lot that comes to mind. And the truth is, everyone has an opinion about which knot works best for this and for that and for this and that and that and the other. So I'm going to break down what I have learned through personal experience, trial, error. And so if you're in here tonight, if you will, drop into the live chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. Hope you all had a wonderful New Year and a great Christmas. So tonight, I'm going to break down the knots that I use for braid, fluorocarbon, and mono. And then I'm going to share the knots that I use for connections for leaders. So my braid to fluoro, my braid to mono, and I actually do use that setup a lot, especially for topwater. I use braid to a mono leader. Now, if you are in here and you're not subscribed to the channel, let me just stop real quick. Why don't you do something for me? Down here in the corner, there's a subscription button. So if you will hit that, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell so you get notified every time we have and release a video like we have tonight. And so also, if you're in here and you're subscribed to the channel, why don't you do something for me? I'd love to hear from you. Number one, like the channel. I see somebody's already liked it tonight. And then number two, drop a comment down below about some things that you'd like to hear with these fan casts over this upcoming year. So let's jump right into it tonight. The first knot that I want to talk about is the palomar knot. And if you're a fisherman, you know that the palomar knot is a great knot. The main area that I use the palomar knot is with braided line. And there's a reason for this. I'll go back to a tournament I was fishing in North Carolina with my dad. And I was catching fish, flipping a light-weighted Texas rigged stick bait into log jams. And basically what I'd do is I'd flip that stick bait into the log jam and let the current float it back. And we ended up coming in second in that tournament. And we could have won because I broke off, or didn't really break off, several good fish. And what was happening is I was tying the improved clinch knot with braided line. And what happens is when you tie that knot with braid and you know, as we all do, snip off that tag in really close, that knot will slip. And what was happening is when I would set the hook on those fish, that knot would slip and I would lose the fish. So I started then and there tying the palomar knot. And so if you're not familiar with the palomar knot, I'm going to demonstrate this real quick, how you tie it. And so what we've got is we've got our little makeshift eyelet here, and we've got our makeshift line. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pull off and you're going to make a big loop, as you can see here. Another way that you can do it, especially if you're using bigger line and a small eyelet, you can actually take your line, thread it through as such, and then thread it back through. And so you end up with this kind of the same thing here. So what you're going to have is you're going to have two lines going through with a loop on one end. Hopefully you can see this here. So I got a loop on one end. And then all you're going to do is you're going to come take this over, and you're going to tie one little half hitch. That's what you're going to end up with. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take this loop and you're going to pass it around the bait. Now, I'll be honest, this gets very difficult with treble hook baits, and you will end up very aggravated. But then all you're going to do is you're going to wet this down. Because this is rope, I'm not too worried about this. Somebody's going to comment, well, I can't believe you just cinched this down without wetting it. And so, remember, this is rope, and we're not too concerned about burning rope. And so basically what you're going to do is you're just going to slowly cinch this down. And you're going to wet it, and then you're going to pull down both of these tag ends. And so it's going to create a very strong knot. And this is the knot that I use with braided line. It's a very good knot. I've never had any problems with it. So that's the first knot that I use, and I use that strictly for braided line, and I do use it on some mono. The next one is we go into fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is very sensitive. You can burn it and not realize it, and you can lose a lot of fish. And it took me a long time to learn that. And that's one of the biggest things that I have actually against the palomar knot with fluorocarbon is it's very easy to burn that knot and pop that knot when you set the hook. So for fluoro, I use really 3 knots. The first one is the one that every fisherman learns how to tie, and that's the improved clinch. So if you're not familiar with that knot, you're going to have your tag in here. You're going to slide it through your eyelet. You're going to bring it up. And then basically what you're going to do is, this is what I do. I stick my finger, create a loop, and you're just going to twist up. I'm going to go 4 times here. I usually go 6 or 7. Then you're going to take your tag in. You're going to pass it through that bottom loop. Okay. So now, as you can see here, now I've got a loop up here on the top. You're going to take that tag in, slide it through that loop. Once again, you're going to wet your line, and then you're just going to clench that knot down. And when I'm out just fishing, I'll be honest, this is the knot that I tie with mono and with fluoro. But this is a really, really good knot for fluorocarbon because it doesn't burn the line. However, my main knot for fluoro is the San Diego jam knot. And there's 2 ways to tie this, and I'm actually going to show you both here. The first one is the standard San Diego jam knot. So you say, what's that? Tag in eyelet. You're going to take your line. You're going to pass it through your eyelet. Okay. Now you're going to have your bait, or in this case, our little loop here. And you're going to pull your line up parallel with the other line. This is what it's going to look like. Let's get a little bit more here. I'm only going to do this 3 times. I usually go 4 or 5. Then you're going to take your tag in, take your line. You're just going to go around and around and around. All right. So now, as you can see, I've done that. Now you're going to take your tag in. You're going to take it through that bottom loop and bring it up through top loop. Okay, just like that. You're going to wet it down, then you're going to cinch it down, okay? This is my go-to knot for fluorocarbon because it does not burn it. And if you've ever burned your line, you know how frustrating it is to break off a fish. And so that is the knot that I tie probably 90% of the time, especially if money's on the line, if I'm fishing a tournament or something like that. So that's the first variation of the San Diego jam knot. The other variation of the San Diego jam knot is the double San Diego jam knot. And now this is the knot that I'm going to tie if I'm flipping or anything like that, because it almost acts as a bait keeper as well. And you'll see why here in just a second. So what you're going to do, you've got your eyelet, and then very similar to the way that you're going to tie a palomar knot, you're going to make a big loop. You're going to pass it through the eyelet, okay? And so then you're going to bring this up just like this. All right. So now what you've got is you've got 4 lines all running parallel to each other. Now what you're going to do is very similar to the way that you did it with the regular jam knot. You're going to take these and you're going to bring them around. I'm only going to go 3 because I'm dealing with rope, and it's very kind of hard to tie. All right. So now, the same as I had earlier, I'm going to take my loop here and pass it through the bottom loop. All right. And then I'm going to take my tag end loop and pass it through the two top loops. All right, so basically it's going to look just like that. Then, once again, now you're going to take your original tag that's running parallel to your main line, and you're just going to cinch those down. And then as you get close, once you've wet it, you're going to pull on that loop. And you're just going to cinch that knot down. And I'll be honest, I'm going to argue that this knot is just as strong as the palomar knot. You can disagree with me. You can put it here in the live chat, or you can drop it down below. And so basically, by the time you're done with this knot, you're going to have a loop and a tag end. And this is where things get a little tricky. You're going to take your scissors and you're just going to trim off both of those, that loop and that tag end. So it looks a little funky because now you have 3 tag ends up here at the top. And that's why I said it kind of acts as a secondary bait keeper, which is really good. And I'll be honest, I've never had any problems with this knot. And so that's the double San Diego jam knot. Now, the big area that everybody wants to talk about are connection knots. And there are numerous connection knots out there. You've got the double blood knot. You've got the Alberto. You've got the crazy Alberto. And you got the FG knot. I have 2 connection knots that I tie. One I think is better than the other. And I'll get into that. Now, the first one is the crazy Alberto. And so what I've got here is we're gonna symbolize that this is our leader. So this is our fluorocarbon, and this right here is our braid. Okay, so braid, fluoro. What you're going to do is you're going to make a loop with your fluorocarbon. Okay, just like this, or your mono, or whatever you're using for leader material. Probably fluorocarbon or mono. It'd be kind of weird to use braid on a braid, but that's either here or there. So now we've got our braid main line, our loop with our fluorocarbon leader. Crazy Alberto is pretty simple. This is the quickest, I think, of all of the connection knots. And I've only had a few problems with this, and I'll get into that. And so basically what you've got is you've got a loop. You're going to take your braid. You're going to pass it through your loop. Okay? So basically what it's going to end up looking like is this right here. All right? So you got your loop with your fluorocarbon and your braid running through it. All right? The next step with the crazy Alberto is you're going to hold it, and now you're just going to take that braid and you're going to wrap it down. I'm only going to go 3 or 4 times here. And so basically it's going to end up looking like this. Now, you're going to take your braid, in every place you're going to fill the gaps from where you've wrapped. You're going to fill in with the next wrap going back up. Okay? So I came down 3. This is a key. When you wrap back up, you want to wrap up 4. Or if you go 5, you want to wrap up 6 when you come back up. Okay? So now I'm back up. All right? Now hopefully you guys can see this. I've got my braid coming in this way. This is my fluorocarbon. I'm going to actually, or my braid, the tag end of the braid. I'm going to take it and go the opposite of the way that I came in. Then once again, you're just going to wet your line. As you can see this, what it does is it encases your leader. This is your leader. And so now you end up with 2 tag ends. You're going to take your scissors, your snippers, whatever you got. You're just going to trim those tag ends off on both sides. This is the one thing about this knot that I do not like. All you have done is you just have a fluorocarbon loop that comes in and is pinched within and are encased in braid. And so if you're not careful, you don't tie it right, this knot will fail. But I'll be honest, I tie this knot a lot, especially if I'm just out fishing, uh, and I really don't want to spend the time to tie it. But one of the good things about it, it's a very pretty knot. It's a very small knot. Uh, the bad thing about this knot is if you're flipping, let's say you're flipping and you're using 65-pound mainline braid to a 20-pound fluoro leader, it produces a gigantic knot that will not come through micro guides. So that can cause a bit of a problem. The other knot that is very, very popular and has become very popular in the last little while is the FG knot. Now, this is going to be very hard to tie, and so I'm going to have to be very, very careful here. And I'll be honest, the first few times that you tie the FG knot, you're going to sit there and want to beat your head against a wall, and you're going to think, this is pointless. I'll just stick with the crazy Alberto. And that's exactly what I thought. So there's a couple tricks to tying the FG knot. Number one, this is your main line coming off of your spool. You have to have tension on this line. And so what I do when I'm on the boat is I will sit down, I'll put the rod, point it away from me, put the line in my mouth. Now what that causes tension on the line coming off of your spool. The next step that you're going to do, and so I'm going to demonstrate it for you. I got the line in my mouth. All right, I've got tension on it. The next thing I'm going to do is you're going to take your fluorocarbon, okay, and you're just going to lay it across that line. So as you can see, you got your main line running this way. You got your fluoro running this way. So, all right, what you're going to do, hopefully I can mimic this for you. You're going to come towards you, away from you. And as soon as you do that, you're going to pull it tight, okay? And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to keep doing that. Bam. Towards you, away from you. Pull tight. Okay? Towards you, away from you. Pull tight. Towards you, away from you. Pull tight. Towards you, away from you. Pull tight. Okay? This is a key to it. You want to pinch that, because if not, it will become unraveled. And hopefully you can see this here. It basically produces a very long and slender knot. So this knot comes through micro guides wonderfully. Then what I do, this is something that I do different than a lot of people, is you've got one braid, one fluorocarbon. What I do is I take both knot lines, I braid my fluorocarbon, and all I do is I tie a half hitch. Pretty simple. All right, pull that down. All right. So now I've got one half hitch. And what I'll do is I'll tie with both braid and fluoro up 5 times. Okay. Then I lay, let's say this is my fluorocarbon. I lay my fluorocarbon parallel with my main line. I take my braid. I tie a half hitch around the main braid line that's going to your spool and the fluorocarbon. Half hitch. Cinch that down. Okay, you're going to do that 5 times. So you take, once you're done, you got your line, you're not pinched after you've wrapped it. Half hitches with both braid and fluoro or braid and mono up 5 times. Lay your fluorocarbon parallel with your braid. Tie the braid up 5 half hitches. Cinch that down. So this is our braid. Pretend I've cinched it up 5 times. You're just going to cut that off. All right, so now all you have left is your fluoro tag in and your main line, and then you're just going to cinch those up. Just going to cinch those up with half hitches. All right, and then all you're going to do is you're going to snip that off. And that's basically what your FG knot is going to look. As I said, it's not the prettiest, okay? As you can see, it just popped loose. But as I said, I'm kind of dealing with rope here, so it's kind of difficult to tie. But that's how you tie the FG knot. Hopefully you can see that, guys. If not, drop a comment, and I'll try to maybe redo this and do a step-by-step tutorial with it. And this, the FG knot with the fluorocarbon, is hands down the best connection knot. I have not yet had it fail. I've not broke a knot. Now, I've broke leaders, and that's only going to be natural. And I've tied this knot with everything from 20-pound fluoro down to 4-pound fluoro, and I've never had the FG knot connection point fail. So if you're looking for a really good knot for your fluoro to leader material, man, I would encourage you, just check out that FG knot. So before we end tonight's video, does anybody have anything that they'd like to drop here in the live chat? And as I said, the more that you tie knots, the better you get. So I've gotten really, really good with the San Diego jam knot. I can tie it very quickly. And as I said, I've never had that knot fail with fluorocarbon. Now, a knot that I did not mention, because I really didn't have a way to demonstrate it, was the snail knot. The snail knot is what I use for flipping. And I use that with both braid and fluorocarbon. So maybe here just a second I can demonstrate this for you. I don't know how well it's going to work, just simply because of what we're using here to demonstrate a hook eyelet. Hopefully it'll work. And I use this with both braid and fluorocarbon, and it works very, very well. There is a trick to using braid, though, because you don't want any slip with your knot. So basically, all you're going to do is you're going to bring your line in on that guide or that eyelet, and then you're just going to wrap it around. And basically what I do is I go down, and then I wrap up, and then I take my tag end through the loop. As I said, this is very difficult with rope. Let's see if I can do this real quick better, a little bit better here. There we go. All right, so this time I'm going to tie the snail knot. The first demonstration really didn't work all that well. So you're going to bring it through, and then you're going to bring it down. You're going to create a loop. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up behind that, and I'm going to wrap down. Wrap down, wrap down, wrap down. And I'm going to take my tag end with my loops, and this is the hook, comes out curves. I'm just going to pull that through. So pull that down through, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to cinch that down. And that's what it's going to look like. And now I'll be honest, with braid, I do not cut the tag end off very short, because usually you've kind of got that creature bait or whatever you're using pushed up on top of it. So anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's Fancast. If you have, do a couple things for me. Number one, smash that like button. Number two, comment down below. And number three, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel so you get released when we release awesome content like this. So for future reference, as we go through this year, I'm going to try to release a video every Friday night. And maybe a little bit more. So looking forward to this year. Hope you guys are as well. Hopefully you can take these little short tutorials, apply them to your fishing so you can catch more fish. And once again, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Go catch some fish. Let me know if maybe you use one of these knots that you learned about tonight. And I look forward to hearing from you. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Bass and Pasture.